Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of this course on using data for policy advocacy. My name is Fatima Musa Aliu and I work as the Senior Programs Officer at Bridge Connect Africa Initiative. I'm passionate about advocating for policy change, especially policies that affect women and girls in society. I'm glad to be a facilitator on this course and I'm committed to ensuring that you understand the concepts of data and how you can use them to advocate for policy change. You will be learning about data for policy advocacy, how to use evidence-based data, how to humanize and visualize data, and how important data is for policy advocacy. Have you thought about the best practices to get policymakers to pay attention to your policy advocacy campaign? You may have come across the word evidence-based, and you wonder why we need to use evidence or how do we do it. Good advocacy should be based on solid evidence, not on beliefs, ideology, but on facts and figures. And that is why in this video, you will learn what evidence-based advocacy is. What is evidence-based advocacy? Evidence-based advocacy refers to the use of verified concrete information as proof to trigger change. In carrying out evidence-based advocacy, data is gathered, organized, and analyzed to produce clear and accessible information, which can influence leaders and decision makers. Evidence can be in the form of data, facts, research, and lessons learned from past experiences. It requires the collection and interpretation of data, validated research from trustworthy policy-oriented institutions. While it is good to have a lot of data, it is also very important to show success stories where the policy change you're advocating for had a greater impact. As a youth advocate, you have the power to move the government or private sector to improve service delivery by using evidence. Evidence brings to light what people are actually experiencing. In evidence-based advocacy, the key components you should consider as a policy advocate are the issue, the evidence, the goals and objectives, the advocate, the message, the recipients, and finally, the monitoring and evaluation processes. Now, the issue. The first step of your policy advocacy journey starts with having an issue to advocate for. Take steps in pointing out and addressing the issue. As an advocate, it is important to have a basic overview of the situation and how your advocacy can help solve the challenges. Examples of such issues include lack of access to potable drinking water in the community, rising issues of gender-based violence. It may also be environmental pollution caused by industries that affect the members of the community. The evidence. Evidence forms the central component of evidence-based advocacy. The strength of the evidence presented determines the strength of the advocacy message. The evidence relates to both the issue and the message as it concerns both research into cause of the problem and looking for evidential solutions. The first step in gathering evidence concerns the determination of the useful indicators that say more about the different variables that play a role in the issue. Valid data collected from reliable sources can be used as evidence in advocacy. Now, the goals and objectives. When the issue at hand has been thoroughly analyzed, the goals and objectives of the advocacy should be determined. The objectives through which the goals are to be achieved has to be reasonable and within reach. As a policy advocate, it is important you consider the SMART criteria while setting your policy advocacy goals. S stands for specific. Policy advocacy goals should be specific in the way that your messages are aligned in the same direction. M stands for measurable. You should be able to measure success. A stands for attainable. The ability to meet the advocacy outcome should be considered. R stands for relevant. The goal should be realistic. T stands for time-bound. You should be able to specifically state when the goal of the advocacy needs to be reached. Now, the advocate. While carrying out an evidence-informed advocacy, the advocate stands as the messenger that sends out the message to the recipients, which are the policymakers. As an advocate, you should consider developing advocacy skills such as writing, communications, networking, and monitoring and evaluation skills. The message. Your message should be a straightforward statement that sums up your advocacy objectives and goals. It includes what, why, and how you want to achieve your policy change. As a policy advocate, while formulating your message, it should be plain, clear, and easily understandable. It should be planned in a way that will convince decision makers of your ideas and the need for the policy change and implementation you are advocating for. The recipients. Policy advocacy campaigns usually aim at bringing about changes in the legislative system, public opinion, or initiating some transformation of the social environment. To be successful in your campaign, you must identify key actors involved. The monitoring and evaluation processes. During the course of your campaign, strategies can shift, hence the need for M&E tools in making successful adjustments. The M&E process is a continuous and periodic assessment of the progress of your work. In conclusion, evidence-based advocacy provides policy advocates an opportunity to produce results which are supportive of their change agenda, as well as meeting decision-making information needed for policy change and implementation.